Hey guys, it's Matthew here once again, and I'm going to give you a bit more of an update about the Voltaxic Sparker. That is a Pathfinder, and it's almost entirely Chaos with a bit of Poison mixed in. And the goal of the character, as I mentioned, was to be able to clear maps really well, but on top of that, also have some additional single target to try and take on some of the Tier 16s, Tier 16 Guardians, as well as Shaper, maybe Uber Utsiri. Just be a solid boss killer as well as a really good mapper, because as we all know, Spark is a great map clearer, and this character has been very amazing in that right. So first and foremost, I do want to say it's more or less still just a map clearer. It is a very strong character for maps. It leveled me to 92 in something like 24 hours, and I barely noticed it, to be honest. I loved mapping on this character. It was fast, it was fun, and it was pretty damn easy. There wasn't much to worry about, just piano your flasks every now and again, and yeah, leech was good, damage was good, survivability was good, and it felt good to play because of all the additional movement speed, cast speed, all that shit. It was just a good feeling character in the end, so I just got a couple of clips here showing you what it kind of looks like on a Mesa and a Gorge. Just this is a bit of the gameplay. The map clearing, it's pretty quick. It is what it is. It's Spark, and it's Voltaxic, so we already know that. And yeah, we're straight into the boss kills. I'll start out with the good, and as you can expect, Phoenix and Minotaur, they're both pretty good for this fight or for this character because it does have chaos, it does have poison, and as you can see, it's pretty straightforward. Drop the Wither Totem, spark it up, get him into a corner if you can. That'll help bounce your sparks a bit better just for consistency, and try and avoid him. Now, he was super fast on this map and also has vulnerability, so this is the first time I challenged him, and it's pretty quick. I was trying to just do quite a lot of face tank to get him down. Second up, I have a Uber, well, not an Uber, it's a Vile Temple Tier 16. It had a few crazy rolls on it, but nothing too insane, and it does give a good indication of what an Uber Utsiri fight would look like with this character, at least the trio phase, because typically Vile Temple is fairly comparable to the Uber trio, and these go down pretty damn easily and quickly, and it wasn't too much of a struggle. So I do hope to do an Uber Utsiri run and test this character on that as well, but I don't currently have one ready to show because I have not had a set to have an attempt at it. But that was pretty good, and that went very well too. Minotaur, also pretty weak to poison, or that is, he can be poisoned, thus he's weak to it, and it's pretty quick DPS for that too. So with a totem, very strong once again, get a lot of poison on him, and yeah, he actually dies rather well. Now that is without changing anything in the setup. It is the setup I've been using to map with. This is the first of the struggle bosses, and that is the Hydra. Hydra is of course immune to poison, so I gain absolutely nothing from my build towards single target damage on this boss. You'd have a much stronger damage just being pure lightning, for example, with lightning penetration, or an Inquisitor. So for what it is, the DPS wasn't too bad, but I could only really do substantial DPS while Vinctars was up. And on top of that, all of my mana regen is tied to the Vinctars. So for this fight, for Chimera and for Shaper, I had to end up replacing my Silver Flask with a Mana Flask, because it's the first time I've ever really encountered needing mana on this character. Since Vinctars has always kept my mana up, yeah, this is the only time I've ever really run out of Vinctars and started to struggle. Now, as you can see, I've also decided to try Ball Lightning out against this boss, because I figured maybe Ball Lightning Slow Proj would give a more consistent single target when not factoring poison into the mix, and it didn't really do very well at all. I tried it out, it kind of sucked. Long story short, Spark was just better, and that's what I did to finish the boss off in the end too. It was just a bit slow, but very well doable. Just, obviously we're not getting anything out of the poison on this build. Likewise with Chimera. As you can see here, absolutely unpoisonable. We're not getting anything out of the poison here, but the single target is once again not too bad while all the flasks are up, and you do have the Vinctars up, and this is where I ran into the mana issues when I inevitably swapped my Silver Flask for a Mana Flask, and it wasn't, terribly smooth still, because I'm still very flask dependent on this character, and when some of those were down, or if I didn't want to press the flasks because I was saving them for the Chimera boss himself, then things did get a little tricky, and it does require a bit more flask management in the end. Because of the Mana Flask, it was the first time I was sustaining off of it for mana, so it got a little bit trickier. It was still very doable, and just, the fact that we're poison and chaos kind of sucks because, yeah, just a plain regular Sparker would probably do better against this sort of shit. And I'm getting almost no benefit out of my build here, except for just some more sustainable flasks. So that said, I may actually still try and convert this character into full lightning without a Voltaxic and try that out against the endgame too, and see how that goes. But if I was going to do that, I probably would have rather been an assassin or an inquisitor. So Pathfinder might not have been my number one choice, but it's still pretty handy and pretty useful, and I may try that out and come to some conclusions here anyway. So that's the last of those fights. I do also have a Shaper attempt to show you. Now this was not a kill because I messed up quite a few times, and my DPS wasn't quite where I wanted it to be. But that was largely because of the few times I messed up, so I left myself without enough portals to do it. And on top of that, I also struggled to keep up my power charges, and also my flask management was a bit iffy throughout the fight. So without power charges, I have some pretty average crit rate, and without all my flasks up, and especially the Vinctars and the Silver Flask, which I was using for resist, that was a large part of my crit, as well as the Diamond Flask. If those aren't up, I don't have terribly good crit, so it was kind of just iffy damage for the most part, because I can't fully sustain flasks. Now, that's kind of an issue, and on top of that, the real big issue is you always have to have a flask pressed as a Pathfinder to do any poison damage. So sometimes I couldn't get that going either. In the end, the fight was manageable, and I could do it, but I messed this run up, and it definitely did not go according to my original plan. It did end up being a brick, and I will show you the third phase after I go back into showing you what the character kind of looks like now. Just a few little changes I've made and more or less a summary. Hopefully I'll also have another few boss kills maybe of Uber-Itziri, maybe a Shaper to show you next time too. So I just wanted to go over real quick the character again, a few little changes I've made. At this stage I did hit level 92, let me just move that. I hit level 92 and it took about 24 hours pretty much. So that is definitely the fastest character I've leveled so far this league. And that's just because of the sheer movement speed of this character and the clear speed of the Spark. And being able to run so many different maps. Since we're Chaos, I can run pretty much every single map mod. And it's been very smooth, largely thanks to flasks as well. So in the end, I've 37k DPS. That's buffed with just my Golem. And buffed up, as you can see, the flasks themselves add quite a bit of DPS, up to 65k, with 5 power charges, which are up almost 100% of the time. We do roll something like, hold on, there we go, we do roll something like 60k, I think, and then with flasks and everything goes up to about 100k. So it is very important, and of course Diamond Flask doesn't get factored into that too. And then of course a lot of our damage is poison. Now as far as my aura setup goes, I was running Blasphemy plus Assassin's Mark for a very long time. And that on top of Discipline, that was my aura reservation. At this stage, especially for the end game, I've decided to go Discipline with Enlighten and Wrath. And that gives me a much larger tooltip just for my actual Spark itself. Gain about 5,000 damage there. And then I have my Assassin's Mark attached to Power Charge on crit, Orb of Storms, and Curse on hit. So my Orb of Storms is only giving me my Assassin's Mark whenever I need it to, which is against some of the tougher things or just larger packs. And then also I get my Power Charge on crit off of single target off of Orb of Storms. Now I'm only doing this in the end game. Were I to just keep mapping, I'd probably still keep the Blasphemy Assassin's Mark on, because it's very nice for sustain on the Power Charges, and also the additional crit around everything around you. So that's what I'd recommend doing. As far as Heralds go, Herald of Thunder is something like 39,000 DPS, so it adds maybe 2,500, roughly half of what a Wrath would, but of course it's less reservation, so up to you guys what you do with that. If you play something like this, feel free to change around auras and all that, up to your own needs. Now I am wearing a Valerium, that's where all my stun threshold reduction is coming from. I can't afford to wear a Chayula because Quiet as a Storm is so important for me, and I can't get a boot enchant because I accidentally enchanted this, and it's too good to remove. So basically Valerium, otherwise You could go an Knife Chula, you could go stun resistance there, you could go some on the flasks as well, stun resistance that is. Besides that, there's not too much else that's changed that I need to mention. I will just say I upgraded my chest by crafting a new one with Chaos Orbs, and so I'm now up to 8400 ES with about 150% on the tree. So there is room for improvement on ES if you want to be more survivable for general mapping and all that, but 8k plus was plenty for me. The Vinktars I was using is the lightning damage to spells one, and there's not too much else to mention. Choir of the Storms, as I said, is quite important for me for my crit. As you can see here, I have 180. When popping my flasks, I go from 28 crit up to 35. So it's an additional 7 crit based off of my resistance from the flasks and from Choir of the Storms synergy with the flasks. Otherwise it gives even more crit because of the base that you can see here, so it is quite important to give you quite a lot of crit. The damage itself, I don't know if that's very substantial anyway. There's not too much else to mention at this point. I will probably play around with a few more passive trees to see if I can build a life-based one as a starter without any sort of gear, and maybe have that for another video. But for this one, I think that's about it. My last few points went into added chaos damage here, since that double dips as always, and I will potentially have another video where I tackle the last couple of bosses that I have not yet done, which would be Uber Siri and maybe a whole Shaper run again. But for now, I'll leave you with what was the crap Shaper run. I feel like you deserve to see how I struggle every now and again. This one didn't go well. It certainly, I think, is doable. I just didn't do it very well. So here it is. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you next time. I fucked up. Got out of there in time. Thank you, based ES build. Now I'm actually dead though. Yeah, I don't know, like the actual skill itself I'm not terribly enjoying for Shaper. Just single target feels off. Like Ball Lightning feels like it might be better when we get a good standstill phase. Don't know if I should try it though. I've only got so many portals. Holy fuck. I can't actually escape this, can I? There was no area to run around in a circle there. Ah, shit. That's not a good area. Not a good spawn for me now. There's a chance we can pull this off. Doesn't look good though. Nah, Zan's dead. And he's gonna do a ball face straight after this. Maybe not. Ball face. Zana! She was supposed to come. Get fucked. The ball just then popped on nothing inside that bubble, and I now have nowhere to stand inside a bubble. Well, this has officially turned into a clusterfuck. A Carling would have gone a long way for this last bit, eh? How is that guy still alive? Oh no. I mean, Zan's gonna die immediately, so we have to just let her. because that's our only hope of getting back into this. She didn't die immediately. Why did she take so fucking long to die? He's gonna come back with a ball phase and I'm dead. Because she took forever to fucking die just then. Not that I have anywhere to fucking stand anyway. Fuck! Oh well. Oh, my back. Nah, I mean, it's doable, but yeah, I fucked up a few times, and also DPS ain't quite insane. Ball lightning quite possibly is the answer, because I'm just not getting very good, consistent damage against him. Whereas that might do it. Don't know. Yeah, I mean, a culling would have done it there, but pff, whatever.